Hello everyone, today's film is number 12 on the list. John Ford's 1956 Western, The Searchers, often considered the greatest Western, starring John Wayne and Jeffrey Hunter. This is a wonderful picture, probably one of the better examples of the Western genre. The popularity of the Western genre was huge back in the time of this film, and this, along with High Noon and Stagecoach, remain some of the best films of the Western genre. The story concerns a Civil War veteran, played by John Wayne, who returns home after the war, and then goes on to get revenge on some Comanche Native Americans who killed his family. As in keeping with John Ford's style of making Western, the Native Americans are portrayed in a rather unsympathetic and rather negative light, which is a common prejudice at the time. It's actually rather funny that the main villain is a Native American who is actually not played by a Native American at all, but played by a German actor, a German-American actor. That's sort of an example of that particular time, and that's really the only thing I can say, a negative criticism I may have about the movie, though it is in keeping with the time in which the film was made. That was the common prejudice at the time, was that the Native Americans were not portrayed sympathetically as they are in a lot of today's films. This film's imagery and scenery is absolutely brilliant. The film is set in Texas, but it was filmed mostly in Monument Valley and Mexican Hat, and a few other places, and the iconic scenery is ever present here. This is actually a color film, so the scenery's vibrance really stands out. David Lean, who directed Lawrence of Arabia, is said to have watched The Searchers a few times to get a feel for shooting in such outlandish landscapes when he made Lawrence of Arabia and actually filmed in Arabia. So it has a very similar feel in terms of its visuals. The cinematography is brilliant here. It is surprising that this film was not nominated for any Academy Awards. I think the acting doesn't particularly stand out as Oscar-worthy, but the cinematography definitely, I think, was deserving of at least a nomination, and it seems that the Academy failed to realize that at the time. This is a wonderful movie. I highly recommend it. This is a great example of the Western genre, an extremely popular genre, but this is a film that is interesting in the sense that it did not create a lot of the cliches that we see in Western films. It is interesting to me how the great films of the Western genre are actually the films that defy the cliches of the genre. As I mentioned before, this film's the closest references you will see in this film to other films is probably Lawrence of Arabia, which is rather interesting, spanning from the Western to the epic genre. This is some of John Wayne's best work, and he is definitely a very iconic actor in the field of the Western. And this is a film which I highly recommend if you haven't seen it, and that's my review. Thanks. Bye-bye.